things are gonna get better now. But you're still a drunken slob.
Yes, we're back.
We're back. Ready to do this?
Alright, so part 2, same as yesterday. Last day of vacation for Trailer Trash.
Ugh.
And we kind of had fun with yesterday's show. And it mostly, obviously, hard rock and metal. So today is punk. Came up with a list of 10 albums. Underrated, overrated, we might agree, we might disagree, and then each one of us at the end will have our own choice of underrated and overrated, or neither. So, kind of no rules, is just like yesterday, because that's how we roll.
Yeah.
So let's kick this off.
But we're live today.
We are live today, and
yeah.
Plus we have alcohol. So alcohol plus live podcast usually means
it doesn't get any better than this.
Entertainment at its finest.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let him kick it off the first album.
Love it. So we did a lot of talking on this. And for me, I personally love this album. I remember when this came out in 94. A lot of you probably remember this because, well, you just do, because everybody knows you got to keep them separated. We're talking about The Offspring, Smash. For me, I loved this when it came out. I still love it today. To me, it's I think it's underrated, even though it was popular as hell. I mean, what more can you say? Separate, come out and play. Self-esteem. It's Bad Habits. All the good stuff. This is the album that really put The Offspring on the map. You were there, Dan.
This is going to be a bit of a surprise, maybe. But actually, I agree with him that this is underrated. I was actually thinking about this last night. I listened to this a couple of times, and I realized, and in fact, we know for this is true, Epitaph Records, nobody had ever heard of this record label until this album became popular. And the next thing you know, NoFX, Pennywise, Rancid, all these other bands on that record label, everybody starts buying their records. And even though it got played a lot and it's still semi-popular, I still think it's underrated because everybody forgets about this band, and they always talk about Blink-182, which, we will fucking get into that.
We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Yeah. So, really, what more is there to say about The Offspring? They've had so many hits, and you either love them or you don't, but I think everybody out there has got at least one song that they sing along to when it comes on the radio. So, for me personally, I'm just going to move on to the next one because, well, everybody knows The Offspring. Green Day. A lot of people out there are going to be naysayers. Oh, Green Day's not punk. Well, Green Day, in my opinion, with The Offspring, they pretty well put punk in the mainstream. Dookie, 1994. Everybody knows Billy Joe sitting around on his couch singing about jerking off and doing drugs, and you can't get any better than that. He spoke to all the kids in the 90s. That is why that was so popular. Then they come out with that Basket Case video, just the coolest thing ever in the insane asylum. What more can you say about that? That really, for me, it sparked my love for everything what we consider punk today. What do you think?
I actually agree again. I actually think this is their best album by just a little smudge of another one of their albums that we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree. I think Dookie is the album that made all the 90s punk bands come back. I still think it's even more important than the Offspring album. That's just my opinion. And so, even though it sold like 8 million copies or some crazy shit number like that, I think it might even be closer to 9 million now.
Probably,
think about that. That's fucking crazy.
It is nuts.
Underrated. And if you listen to this, and I have it on cassette, another one of those albums, and I always say this about my top 50 albums of all time, no fillers. You don't fast forward any songs.
You don't. You know?
Perfect album from beginning to end.
Yeah, and to keep in mind, back in the day when this came out, this is the time of the Nirvanas and the Pearl Jam. We're talking the grunge. And when this came out, I mean, you're hearing 3, maybe 4 chords in each song, up tempo, upbeat, the simple lyrics, but it worked.
So I guess I'll start this one, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
This is your band right here.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably surprise everyone on this one too. It's NoFX, Punk in Drublic. I just mentioned that this came out in 1994, which, by the way, is definitely the year that punk made its comeback. Shocker, yeah, this is underrated. Hate Fat Mike, and I can't fucking stand it. Can't stomach him, actually, but I've got to give him credit where credit is due. This is a great album. I actually listened to this a little bit last night, too. Linoleum, Dying Degree, The Bruise, The Cause, Leave It Alone, Don't Call Me White, and he's an asshole. And I hate his politics. But you know what? It's a good album. I still have the cassette. I don't listen to it that much, but for me personally, it's underrated. I don't know what Trailer Trash is going to say about it, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, it's funny because I can't stand Fat Mike. I was at Warped Tour when I saw these guys for the first time. And I went backstage and met these guys, and I asked him for his autograph, and I guess that's not very punk because he was a prick. He gave me this look like, who the hell are you, number one, and it was just almost a waste of his time. And El Jefe came up, and he signed my stuff, and then
Cool guy.
Yeah, the whole band did, except for Fat Mike. And finally he filled in at the end, and I see that, and he kind of walked off, and fuck that guy. But I do like their music. This was one of my favorite albums by them. To me, it is underrated because they forged a path and gave punk yet again another name, more so than 2 of the other bands we just talked about. But regardless, you know, the fact is NoFX. They've been around a long time. Got to give them props on that. You know, so onto our favorite band, or maybe not favorite. I don't know.
Well, this is kind of crazy because it's like a giant love fest right now. Kind of feel like a hippie because so far I've loved everything. And I'm going to Blink 182. I just mentioned them. The album I talk about is Dude Ranch, and I've mentioned this before. It's underrated. Yes,
way underrated.
And this is in the early days when the original drummer was in the band. Think of his name.
Yeah, John something. Or
John.
If I think that's what it was. We
What's
all
it-
know Travis now.
Yeah.
But it was a different guy before.
And this one, you know, it had, you know, Dammit, Josie, Lemmings, Waggy, Dick Lips, and it still had, you know, Fuckface and the aliens in it, Tom DeLonge, and his absolutely most annoying fucking voice
Ever.
in the history of music. But from beginning to end, no fillers, and it's 10 times better than Enema of the State, which we will get into that later. Yeah, 4 albums so far in a row for me, underrated.
I agree with him on this. I think this one was underrated, and honestly, this is the album that I discovered Blink 182 on, thanks to yours truly next to me. This is after I learned about other bands like Guttermouth and things like that, and you know they were fun. I mean, they were kids, and well, they still act like a bunch of, even though they're older than we. But that's beside the point. Yes, I agree with Scum's one way.
So to break it up, this is what we'll do. When you're so happy and you need to be irritated, who do you put in?
Big shocker here. It's gonna be a big shocker.
Good Charlotte, and the album is The Young and the Hopeless. And I wrote down these 4 songs: Girls and Boys, Hold On, the title track, and the anthem. The whole fucking album sucks. This is an atrocious band to me. And I think it's actually, I don't know how many millions of albums it's sold, but it's
millions too many.
Exactly, and I can't stand the Madden Brothers. I just can't. They're the videos. Every video to this album is terrible. The lyrics are atrocious, and it's just a big pile of dog shit. And I'm gonna let Trailer Trash get some shit off his chest now too.
Yeah, truth is, it's funny because air quotes, people call this punk, I suppose. I've never cared for Good Charlotte. Just haven't. I think that, number one, they can't sing. Some of them can kind of play their instruments, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about overrated or underrated. And these some bitches, they are just way overrated for what it is. My thoughts are, you know what? Give some credit to some of the bands we just mentioned.
Exactly.
Take these guys out of the limelight because they don't deserve it. Really, what did they do? They had that one song, the anthem. This is the anthem. Bullshit. No, we don't. We don't.
Terrible.
It was terrible. We don't need that. How about? I got nothing more to say on these assholes.
It sucks. It sucks really bad. And
yeah.
They had another album after this one that was terrible, and that had a couple songs that played on the radio too. It's just like, I cannot believe that this band continues to record albums, and then they came back and I just want them to go away.
I kind of want to clarify. I mean, we're not here to slam everybody this right now, because we can do an entire show on that band. Which I think he's done that before. The fact is, we're talking about overrated or underrated. These guys are far, far overrated.
No, I fucking hate this band. I'm going to trash them every time I talk about them. I can't stand them. All right. Green Day, Insomniac.
Yes.
Underrated. Very underrated.
Very underrated.
I said that Dookie was my favorite, and this is just me personally, is my favorite, and this is just like a notch below that. And, I mean, Geek Stink Breath, 86, Panic Song. What I really liked about this album is that it was different than Dookie. Yes, I know it was like 3 chords and all that shit, but it was darker, it was heavier, and they did not record Dookie Part 2. You got to give them respect for that. And then all the, little hardcore fans were little bitches and bawled and cried about it. Mm-hmm. But if you haven't listened to this album, go back and check it out. It's really good.
He's right. I completely agree with him on this. Insomniac, honestly, for me personally, I like it more than Dookie. I loved Dookie. I still do. It's still in my top 20. Easy. But Insomniac, the reason I love it so much is because these guys, Billy Joe, Mike, Trey, they all got slammed for selling out when Dookie hit big. So what they do, they listened to everyone around them, and they tried to record something dark. They did. They talked about drugs and being strung out, the whole 9 yards. Very, very dark stuff. And still, what happens? They get shunned. But this one did not do nearly as good as Dookie or the other albums. So in my opinion, oh my god, way underrated. There's a lot of good work on here. It's Green Day style. It's 3-4 chords. Just odd progressions, but they really did a good job on this. And the production I thought was awesome. And just, I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Billy Joe, he can write a song. It's as simple as that.
About sums it up for me too. Okay, now this is a little bit of a surprise too, because I don't hate it. I'm talking about Lit. And the album is A Place in the Sun. They only had like 2 songs on this entire album. My Own Worst Enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Oh,
Miserable.
Yeah.
The video with Pamela Anderson. Now listen, you got to remember, this is the 90s, like the late 90s, when the new metal shit was Korn and Limp Bizkit and all this other shit. They're not my favorite band, but they're not terrible. This album, I think it's underrated, and I'm only talking about two songs, and I know that's surprising. Would I go out and buy this album? Probably not. Would I pay money to see them live? Probably not. I'm just looking at the time that it came out and all this shit. You gotta remember, I'm in Iowa, so the radio stations suck ass here. So for me, it's underrated, but that's what this is. So
it's funny because the radio stations here now starting to play their music. What does that tell you? No, for me, it's so funny. I didn't expect you to say that. I really didn't expect you to say that at all. Personally, I like Lit. I liked Lit from the first time I heard them because I was like everybody else, Own Worst Enemy, and I thought they were rad, and I actually have their CDs still. As a matter of fact, I think I've got some of their songs on my phone, but I liked a lot of the songs on there, and in my opinion, a lot of the stuff that they recorded for that album, those songs that hit the radio weren't their best. Simple as I liked them, personally. I would buy their album again.
Nice. See, we're not always hateful. That's a good thing. Now, this one here, and Trailer Trash doesn't know this band like I do, and I had to put them on here because the more and more I listen to them, the more and more I it makes me want to jump off a bridge into a shark-infested waters and get ate to death. I'm talking about MXPX slowly going the way of the buffalo. I have the CD, and I'm not going to lie, I'm ashamed that it's even in my record collection. It's so fucking bad. The lyrics are so terrible. You know, in Dipshit, he plays in Goldfinger now, the bass player, Mike Herrera. You know, whatever, he's not a Christian anymore or some shit, but yeah, there's some really cringe-worthy lyrics. Something about look into her eyes and Christ will find her too. I can't believe I own this fucking CD. That's basically, it's way, way, way overrated.
It cracks me up because cracks me up that you even say that because I
wait. Hold on.
Yeah, stop that.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Wow, got away from us there a little
Yeah.
bit. We're using only the best equipment, so I want to throw that out there, and the mic happened to fall off the stand. Anyway, as I was going to say, he's right. I don't know anything about this band. I never got into them at all. It was just one of those bands I didn't care about. But, you know, shit, 15, 20 years ago, I remember us talking about this band. He had some of their music, a lot of their music, as a matter of fact. And like a lot, you know, politics and everything jumps into the scene and things change. But yeah, I've never known this band. I wouldn't walk across the street for a truck full of their stuff, to be honest. Not that they're bad; they may be great, but not mine.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, they're terrible. Trust me on this. So we're already at number 9. There's only 2 albums left.
Wow.
See, time flies when you're having fun.
This is fun.
Blink 182. Again.
Oh, yeah.
Enema of the State. I'm going to do this real fast. I hate it. And it's way overrated. Trailer Trash is really the one that's going to break this down because he remembered better than me. And I hate all the small things because I hate the fucking video.
He's right. It's funny. Here again, this is going to be really interesting because back when this came out, to be honest, I liked Dude Ranch a lot. I really loved it. And this came out, and I actually became almost a fanboy. I fell into the trap of, you know, all the small things. You know, what's my age again? I personally, I still like a few of the songs on the album. I was about to say the album, but I really don't care for the album itself. I think there's 3 songs on here that I like. But in my opinion, this album is way, way overrated. A lot of people talk trash on, you know, songs like Adam's Song. You know, to each their own. I liked the song. It had a hidden meaning for me, but really, this is way, way overrated. I'm saying take some of that rating and give it to the next band we're going to talk about.
I put this one on here because I found this CD in my collection again, and I'm telling you, I think I've listened to this one time in my entire life.
It's bad.
I bought it because, I don't know, somebody told me about it. It was, it's Social Distortion, White Light, White Heat, White Trash, which I kind of like that album title, but that's the only good thing about it. They had a song called When the Angels Sing, the video. It's fucking terrible. I hate this band because of Mike Ness. I read all these articles about him, and these guys like, I loved Mike Ness. I don't, and I don't know, the rockabilly shit just doesn't connect with me. Now, I didn't say terrible. Okay, they're not terrible.
No, it's not terrible.
They're not Good Charlotte. That kind of bad. It's just not my thing. I like, you know, faster paced music. That's just me.
Yeah, and Social D, I mean, they've got quite an underground following, to be honest, and I know that. But there again, it's another one of those bands, just like MXPX, I personally never got into. Just not really my thing. So I'm with you on this one. Just kind of blah. Eh.
And that's it. That's our small list. Okay, and I didn't really come up with an overrated for me personally because I basically trashed about 4 or 5 albums.
We got a lot of overrated stuff. Yeah.
So for me, I'm just doing my one underrated, and trust me, this will be in my top 50. In fact, it'll be my top 10. Yeah, I like to give info away. It's Pulley, a steam-driven engine. I bought it in 1996, and I mean, I could go on and on about this band, but I've talked about them at nauseum to the point where people are fucking sick of me talking about them. It's like people know them as well as I do now. I mean, they can tell you who was on each album and everything, so I'm not going to totally just beat you over the head with a hammer like always, but it's a steam-driven engine. I personally think it's one of the greatest albums ever recorded, but that's just me. I mean, you cannot go wrong with this album, and if you haven't listened to it, go to YouTube, listen to it.
Check it out.
Check it out. And that's it for me. Trailer Trash is going to close out the show.
Yeah, it's a good one. I agree with him on that. So for me, this is going to surprise him. Well, if you know me, this ain't going to surprise you any, but for me, one of the most underrated albums, in my opinion, of all time would have to be, yet again, by Green Day. But we're going to do Nimrod. I love Nimrod. See, now, here's the problem with this album that I have. Everybody knows Nimrod because of the song Good Riddance, Time of Your Life. Hope you had the time of your... You know what I'm saying? But that song, that album had 18 songs on it. If I remember correctly, it was 18 songs. But let me tell you, there's a lot of songs on it that are better than that. Some people may know, like, Nice Guys Finish Last, things like that. But what about songs like The Grouch? What about songs like Uptight? You know, gosh, there were so many. Prosthetic Head. If you want to hear a great album, check this one out. This one came out in 1997, if I remember correctly. I was just a pup then. But do yourself a favor.
Have it on cassette.
Yeah, I
You
still
do
have this on
too.
cassette as well. You know, gosh, Hitchin' a Ride, that was another one that a lot of people knew. That was actually on MTV back in the day when they used to still play music videos. It's crazy. God, I mean, where do you go? Like I said, 18 songs on this. Do yourself a favor, go onto iTunes or wherever you buy your music. Check it out. King for a Day. I mean, you already know Good Riddance. That's one song out of the way. Prosthetic Head, Uptight, I Hate You, stuff like that. So with that said, I don't really have an overrated because we talked a lot of trash and a lot of stuff. Underrated, Green Day Nimrod. Go get it.
Nice. And so I got to thank Trailer Trash for hanging out with me for a week, doing a couple shows with me.
It's been fantastic.
Looking forward to doing some more shows with some other friends of mine. Just, got to get together. But yeah, definitely. So had a blast, and that's it. And you know how I do this. Take it easy, and if it's easy,
Take it twice. We're out.
Nice.